Good morning. Today is the 2nd of October, and it's time for yet another not particularly interesting, very vague, and probably quite boring vlog. So, yesterday I had the privilege of doing another job for a client. This one came about at quite short notice. Sometimes I prefer the clients to come down here if they need something very quickly, because it means I have more availability rather than having to plan to go somewhere, maybe a couple of hours away in many cases, and logistics just come with it. So this was someone who I think my lady wife knew a friend of hers or something. So someone who needed a job done very quickly. Her daughter actually is about to take a driving test. She's 18, and a car would be the first one for her. So we're looking at a budget of about £3,000. As some of you long-time viewers will know, back in about April, I did a job in Berkshire with about that same amount of money, and I found the choice of little small cars for £3,000 was pretty poor. Long gone is the day when you could spend about £800 on a car and it'd be sort of fine and last you a long time without having to do major work to it. Anything under about £3,000 often is not very good if you're looking for a little small economical car in good condition. So this was actually more of a challenge than you'd expect, because if you think about what a lot of other people will be buying for a first car, this is the sort of thing. And people like small economical petrol cars at the moment. They don't necessarily want to have an electric car, even if depreciation is quite bad on those, the deals are very good. Not everybody wants that. Some people do. A friend of mine who I met in 1990, so we've known him for 35 years, on I think his 6th electric car. And I quite like a lot of the cars he's had, but they're not for absolutely everybody at the moment. So just wanted a little thing for a daughter. I must say I sort of agree that actually, if you're looking for your first car, just getting some like brand new Audi A1 or something on finance is probably not the best idea for someone who's a new driver. It's probably best to do what she used to do, because your son or daughter can just get a better car later. It's the sort of classic thing, back in when I passed my test in 2001, my friends were driving things like Peugeot 106s and Mark II Fiestas and Mark II Polos and things like that, which were just standard, cheap second-hand cars at the time. And these days, things we were looking at were actually on a list that her daughter had provided. She provided me a list of 6 cars. And actually all 3 of them that we saw yesterday were ones that were on a list. I don't always manage to do that for a client, but in this occasion I did. I found a lot of dross though when looking around, an awful lot of dross. There was the Skoda City Go with a damaged rear bumper, and one of the controls of the heater was broken, so that we didn't know which direction the air was coming out, which was interesting. I mean, it's not necessarily an expensive fix, but when you're giving that to a new driver, they're not going to know what to do about it. So probably not the best. Lots and lots of Nissan Micra K13s with a whole load of advisories on them, which we didn't touch. And then all sorts of other random things. I don't normally go for Fiat 500s actually all of the time, because there are a lot of problems you can have. Now, if you can find a nice Fiat 500, that's fine, or a Panda, because they're the same car, really. But a lot of the ones for about £2 or £3 grand are not very good. You need to get a nice, decent one. So I ended up, first of all, going to see a Vauxhall Corsa, very, very default choice for many new drivers. Back in the early 2000s, when I was learning to drive, the Corsa was very, very dominant in driving schools. I think possibly General Motors gave it a driving school discount. It was £2,000 per car. Now, bear in mind, a lot of cars in those days cost under £10,000, so it's quite a lot of money off the car. So they're very dominant, and they've been a default choice for many, many years. You sort of still buy a brand new Corsa, petrol or electric, these days. This was a Corsa D. The Corsa D ran from 2006 to 2014. This was a facelifted car, 2011. And it was a very high spec one. It was an SE, so you've got heated seats and all sorts of other exciting things. It'd done about 74,000 miles, and it was all right actually. It was a 1.2 because obviously for insurance purposes, 1.2 courses are better than the 1.4s. I also found a 1 litre course when I was looking around. They're very slow. But that one just doesn't seem right at something about it. You speak to the owner, you ring them up, and you just ask them questions. It just doesn't seem quite right, and that was the case with this 1 litre course. It didn't quite seem right, so we left that one alone. The 1.2 was at a dealership that was local to here. It was up for £3,500. It was sort of okay, and those courses do have their value better than some other cars I could mention. So I had a look around it. It was a little bit worse for wearing a body, a little bit worse than I would ideally have liked, but I don't think it was a major problem. It seemed to run okay. I didn't hear any nasty timing chain noises. Air conditioning seemed to work, all that sort of stuff. Pretty nippy for 1.2. I think it's about 82, 83 horsepower for one of those. And it was fine. It was a 5-door one, which is obviously better for most people these days. And it was fine. The bigger problem was the battery was not very good. It needed a new one, really. And it needed probably a service and that sort of thing. It wasn't too bad, actually. That's a sort of typical used car you might find for that kind of money. So we moved on to a place just down the road, which had a 2012 Hyundai i10. It was a i10 Classic, a later one, a facelifted one, with the sort of Kappa 2 engine. I call it a Kappa 1 or Kappa 2. It's one of the two. It's a Kappa engine, which is a chain-driven engine. The earlier i10s had the Upsilon engine, which is a belt engine. This was a 2012, so it's the Kappa 2 engine. So they do sometimes have timing chain issues. This one was fine. That wasn't the issue with the car. The issue with it was that I did ring up and checked, and because I had a number of advisors on the MOT, this didn't even have an MOT, so it was obviously a bit of a risk even seeing it. Now, in these sort of instances, the dealership just will tell you we're going to do one and we'll get rid of all the advisories if there are any. So I suppose that's fine. But the thing had been driven for about a year, probably since the last MOT, which was August 2024. And the moment I saw it, I saw the fact that the tyres all needed changing immediately. Every single one of them was cracking. So, like we'd go out and drive it, for example, but that's not good. That's, money off or money we have to pay for some new tyres. Probably need a service as well by this stage. Second thing, and this was even worse in a way, the clutch was absolutely horrid. Now, first generation i10s, I think even the second generation i10s have a cable clutch in them, and that was a problem. I've driven some cars with very good clutches that are cable operated, but they can be pretty nasty on these. Now, I tend to find with the i10 there's either one of two things. One is the clutch is far too stiff. Like, I remember driving one in 2020. It was a 2009 one, so no budget reviews. I got as a loan car for the day at a garage and subsequently filmed it, and the video went to viral status. Really, it's a very poor video, that, but not only was it back in the day, but also it's a bit rushed. It's not very good, but it was a popular video. But the car gave me temporary sciatica. The clutch was that bad; it gave me sciatica. Actually, it was horrible. It was really horrible. So that wasn't the best. This one was the absolute opposite. It was all sort of floppy and horrible. So at the bottom of the clutch travel, it was sort of like, I don't know, just sort of loose and horrible. And the biting point was quite high up. Now, whether this car needed an entirely new clutch or the cables needed adjusting, I don't know. But it was so bad that when I sort of pulled off out of the place, it was just kangarooing and things like that. It was horrid. I felt like I was on my first day of driving school 25 years ago. So that was not a great look in front of the employee who was in the car. And for some reason, the employee insisted we wanted a very long test drive, even though I kind of knew by the time we actually got out of the dealership that we weren't going to buy the car. He insisted on this very long route, which I don't know why. Like, normally, if you're an employee of a dealership and you can sense that you can sense that the customer doesn't want to go for any longer test drive. Surely you want to come back and do something else, but do something useful as opposed to kind of trying to convince someone who doesn't want to buy the car that they need it. So I don't really know why that was happening. My client had a go at it, and she had the same problem. She felt that the car felt very heavy to drive. I don't know why she felt that. I didn't feel that myself. I don't know. Possibly because she's very used to the more modern car that she has, and that's got an incredibly light power steering in it. So maybe it's that. The gear change was actually all right. It only done 39,000 miles. It wasn't a high mileage car by any means. This was, I think, £3,000. So we just left it on a load and then went on to look at a Kia Picanto. This is the oldest one of the three. This is a 2009. It had done 21,000 miles. Very, very low mileage and one owner from new. Now, Mark 1 Kia Picantos can be had for not a lot of money at all. They are absolutely no budget with used cars. But this one, wow. Cam belt had been done in 2023. Clutch had been done 3 weeks ago. There just was not much to do. The only thing was, which is a really weird problem, the reversing light didn't work, and neither did the parking sensors. Now, I could see on the back of the car the bumper had been painted and not particularly well. It didn't really matter, this is going to a first-time driver, so it's not really the end of the world. And it's not a very expensive car anyway. So that was fine. The car looked very straight on the side. I did sort of look down the side of it, and tyres had all been replaced. It was probably because the i10 had all cracked when the lady who owned it for 16 years hadn't really gone anywhere for a long time. I checked from service book. It's one of these ones where they'd lost a service book, and so I had 2 service books. So we looked through them, and actually it all tallied up. The dealership said, we don't need to change the oil in it, it's only 2023. I was like, well, it's every year or 10,000 miles, not just when you feel like it. It's every year or 10,000 miles. So we went out for a drive in it. Because it had a brand new clutch in it, presumably the lady who had it for all that time had, done lots of little town trips and sort of, worn it out. So that's why I needed a new one. It was fine, it had already been done. It's a clutch kit for a Picanto is not very expensive. It's £75 plus labour, which I can't imagine is very expensive to do in one of those anyway. So, just bear in mind, if you are going to buy a sort of cheap runaround car, a Mark 1 Picanto is not going to break the bank. The 1.1 is the more powerful of the 2 engines, with 64 horsepower. So, ideal for someone who's just starting out. Very low insurance cost, of course, on it. Parts are cheap. So there's nothing wrong with it really, and apart from that issue with the parking sensors and the reversing light, which I think is just the switch on the gear lever or something like that. I think that's all it probably is, which is not an expensive or difficult job to do. Air conditioning was ice cold, engine bay looked great, not really much to do. So that was it, that was it. My client decided to buy it, which is good, and another job successfully done. But it seems to be every time at the moment when I go and do one of these searches, one of the cars at least is an absolute dog. I don't know why, but they think they can sort of get away with it without doing any preparation really at all, which is a shame, because other dealers will do proper preparation for you and make the car look very nice and make it far more desirable for the same money. But anyway, thank you ever so much indeed once again for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like this video and leave a comment below. And we shall see you very soon for some more very vague and not particularly interesting music.